At the end of the day, I'm here to help entrepreneurs design brands that guide them to seven-figure success. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Brand Doctor live stream. I am your host, Henry Kaminski Jr. from uniquedesignz.net, and today we are going to be talking about avoiding some of these branding blind spots that might be holding you back from building and growing a strong brand around your business and or yourself. You know, I've been spending quite a bit of time on this new Clubhouse app and sitting in on a lot of panels and listening to a lot of questions. And it's just been a beautiful experience. I have to say, if you guys aren't on this Clubhouse app yet, you have to get on before the floodgates open and it comes out of beta. But I've been listening to a lot of the questions being asked by audience members, and it's given me such insights on where people are stuck when it comes to building a brand around themselves or building a brand around a business that's sticky, that's going to get people to actually engage, and it's going to create loyalty, and it's going to create referrals, and it's going to create buzz. So some of the things I want to talk about today revolve around a specific problem that I keep seeing over and over and over again. And there's so many people out there that have amazing journeys, have accomplished so much. They may have their hands in 4 or 5 different things, and they're having a hard time dialing all of that in. And there's no place where anybody could go to really get a better understanding of their influence and their authority. And excuse me, I want to talk about that today because that's problem number 1. And then problem number 2 is being spread too thin. People are, these folks are, they have 15 different businesses, or they got 4 or 5 different ventures going on, you know, with partners and so on and so forth. And they don't know how to dial it all in. They don't know how to dial it all in. So we're going to talk about that in a second. And I'm going to give you some strategies. I see Anthony's here. What's going on, Anthony? Can't wait to hear your the gold you drop. I appreciate you, man. And these live streams, these are more interactive. So there's podcasts where you're more of a listener, but these live streams with the purple, thumbnail, these are more interactive. So if you have questions, you have comments, drop them in the comments below, and I will bring you up on stage, if you will, or highlight the question or the comment, and get this to be more of a dynamic conversation, because I want it to be a dialogue with you. I want to be able to field questions real time and get you some results right away, right? So before we dive into some of these blind spots and how to overcome them, I am going to share with you a quick little message. All right, guys, let's dive into this, shall we? Just get my comments visible here. So, all right. Blind spot number 1 is being too vague with who it is that you truly want to serve. You know, when questions are being asked on Clubhouse about how to grow a following, how to position myself properly, how to find my right clients, when I ask the question, well, who do you truly want to serve? And they can't articulate that in 5 to 10 seconds, there's a blind spot that really needs some tender love and care. Because if you cannot articulate the value that you deliver to the people that you want to deliver to, they're not going to know if you're for them or not. So we have to dial in who it is that we are trying to serve and speak directly to them. When you are putting out content or you're going on podcast as a featured guest, or you have your own podcast, you should be speaking to a client, not an audience. It's two very different things and two very different mindsets. When you speak to an audience, your language is going to go broad naturally, right? It's going to go broad naturally. Yeah, this is awesome. Somebody says you have to know who it's for. Absolutely. A must. So I'm gonna share with you a cool little exercise I did with my Instagram community a little bit later that has been helping my followers tremendously and has given me great insights on where they were stuck. So we'll get to that in a second. So identifying who it is that you truly want to serve. Okay, the next thing is what are the brand's values? What is the brand's culture? And what people do you want aligned with that culture and value? Similar along the lines of target audience, but you want to align values. When I can align values to a brand, there's an instant attraction. And that attraction has a lot deeper connection. So pay attention to what are your company's values? What is its cultures? What does it stand for? What does it not stand for? And get very clear with that. Speak to it. Speak to it. There's a cool comment coming in here. Facebook user equals Bob. Okay, Bob. I know who Bob is. Got it. Bob, you're going to be great on this. Feel free to dive in where you see fit, my friend. Bob Bonial is part of my Facebook community. If you guys aren't connected with my Facebook community, you can, this is streaming live in there now, but if you are watching this on YouTube or any other place, make sure you head over to Facebook and look for the Brand Doctors Hangout or the group Industry Experts that want to scale from 6 figures to 7 figures and beyond. We're doing some amazing things in there. We have rock stars like Bob in there with 20, 30 plus years experience in entrepreneurship and has done amazing things with his business. So really, really putting a lot of effort into building this community up this year. So and big shout out to all my community members that are watching now. Happy to have you part of this live stream, and feel free to chime in when you want to. So now that we got target audience out of the way, we really need to pay attention to our story. And what does that story say about our brand? Why has it become the core of what it is that we do? Right? I was on Clubhouse the other day, and the moderator asked me, what is my passion? And that brought me to a very interesting place. I started to think back to the good old days, or the not so good old days. And I'll share a quick story with you. So, when I was growing up, you guys probably know the story. It took my mother and father 16 years to have me. And then I finally came. And then 2 years after that, I almost died. And then about 6 or 7 years after that, my parents went through a horrible divorce. And I can promise you that the last time I saw my mother and father speak cordially together, I was on the Keensburg boardwalk. I was probably 7 years old. And I could get emotional telling this story because what my mother and father did to me, my wife and I now do to our 3.5-year-old son, and he loves it. And it's just a special place in my heart. So when my mother and father would walk me down the boardwalk in Keensburg, New Jersey, one would hold my left hand and one would hold my right hand, and they would go 1, 2, 3, and they would swing me, and they would go woo. And every time my wife and I do that with Dante, you can see me. I'm getting a little emotional here. Every time we do that with Dante, it makes me think like these are the things that make big moves in children's lives, right? And I think that was the last time I ever saw my parents speak cordially again. It's like 7 years old. And after that, it was a nasty divorce for close to 10 years. I think I was 16 when they finalized that divorce. And so it brought me back to the question, what is my passion? And my passion is to help people communicate. Because I didn't have that communication. It was like, Henry, tell your mother this, and Henry, tell your father that. And I was this ping pong ball in between my parents, and it was tough for a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old. And I said, why can't we just, I remember I tried to hold a family meeting. I was like 10 years old. Imagine this. I remember trying to get them together again and say, why can't you guys just talk to each other? Why do I have to be in the middle of it? And I think they heard me, but it only lasted about a week. And then they went back to tell your mother this, tell your father that. And that was that. So I am on a mission, and my passion is to help people communicate. So if you're an expert or you own a business and you want to communicate the value that you deliver to your customers or clients, I am so passionate about that because that passion runs deep. As deep as the story I just told. And I explained that to the audience, and you can hear like the pin drop. It got quiet because they were like, whoa, this guy really let it out. But that's where that passion comes from. So when I ask you, what's your brand story and where is the passion coming from? I want you to be able to tell a story like that. That's going to connect emotionally with people. A lot of people are going straight for the sale, or they're not paying attention to how deep their personal stories are connected to their business and how it plays a huge role on building that bond with the people that you want to serve. I don't see enough people leveraging their story enough. And I encourage you to do that. This is a cool one. 1, 2, 3. Tristan still wants to do that at 17 years old. That's a problem because he's a foot taller than us. Yeah, you get it, right? I mean, but my son will remember this when he's 40 years old, like I remember it when I'm 40 years old. But the difference is my wife and I will still be together because we're committed. Got it? So story. It's a huge, huge, huge piece of your puzzle when it comes to branding. The next thing is something that we need to pay attention to very much. And it's the hook. It's the hook. How are we going to capture attention? How are we going to capture attention? I talked about it yesterday on a podcast about creating funny memes, evoking emotion, getting people to laugh, maybe pissing people off here and there, rattle some cages. But that hook needs to be strong because there's so much noise out there, guys. There's so much noise out there. Before we go, I want to showcase this question because this comment because it's powerful. People crave that story. It's how they relate, how they truly identify. And that identification leads to adorable experience and connection. Bob, yeah, so true. So true. I'm sure that story I told is going to resonate with people. Like it resonated with the Facebook user. Again, I don't know your name. I'm sorry. But the parent of Tristan, right? So they did it with their children. So it's just those little things that make those bonds tight and deep. So getting back to the hook, right? What's going to captivate your ideal client's attention? What's going to grab them and pull them off of a scroll and get them to want to learn more about you? We don't spend enough time, or we don't spend enough effort in that area when it comes to building our brand online. I've gotten better at this over the years, but it comes with a lot of experience. I started getting into memes. I started getting into Instagram reels, and I started getting into catchier headlines, not so much clickbaity headlines, but headlines that are going to stop people in their tracks. By no means am I a copywriter, but I got some chops. Because it's so important to be able to grab somebody. I'll give you an example. One of my colleagues, Brendan Kane, he talked about how he put a post out there and the headline was like, meditation is stupid. Meanwhile, this guy was meditating for 10 years and it changed his life. But that headline, meditation is stupid, grabbed a lot of attention. And then in the caption of the post, he talked about how, 10 years ago, I thought meditation was stupid, but it has changed my life. And he went into why. But see that hook? See how it grabbed those people's attention right away? Boom. So paying attention to the hook is very, very important. But above and beyond the hook is the offer, right? It's the offer. If your offer sucks, or if it's not dialed into the client that you want to serve, that's why I always ask my audience on Clubhouse or my community inside of Facebook, like, when you have a pain point and their challenge is, should I do this? Should I do that? Well, yeah, I'll give you feedback, but it's really not about me. It's about your ideal client. Would they like that? Is that something that would serve them? Is that something that's going to transform their life? That's why it's so important to understand who your target audience is. So we got to move the needle. Like, here's the thing. There's so many people out there giving fluff information out there. And there's very little meat on the bones with the information that they provide. We have to. It's our duty. If we want to stand out as an expert, it's our duty to lay it on and to give true value to our audience. I'm seeing this a lot now on Clubhouse with the good rooms. I've been in not so good rooms. I've been in good rooms, but the good rooms that I've been in, the moderators are so dialed into the audience. They care so much about the audience. I'll give you a quick story. Yesterday I was in a room and you could tell there was a lot of tension in the room. I got there a little late. I don't know what happened, but then I listened. Apparently there was a moderator giving an answer to a question that an audience member had asked, and it started to get deep. This moderator started to go deep on some NLP stuff and started bringing out a lot of skeletons in this person's closet. And it was getting quite vulnerable to the point of uncomfort. And the moderator, the guy who started the room, called time out and said, I don't think this audience member wants to go this deep. And I didn't hear the moderator ask permission, the other moderator, ask permission to go this deep with the audience member. So I'm going to stop this conversation right now because I don't think this is appropriate in front of an audience of 600 people. So if you want to continue the conversation, perhaps you do it offline. I DM that person so fast. I think his name is Derek. I forget his name. It doesn't matter. But I DM that guy so fast and I said, I just want to thank you for caring about your audience as much as you did to put a stop to that. Now, I'm sorry I went off on a tangent, but very, very important to be dialed in like that and to care about your audience. So when you know what offers you could create and curate for them, they're going to remember you like crazy because they're going to be saying to themselves, that speaks to me. They know, they get me. That's why they put this together, and it's so relevant. Boom. We don't pay attention to this enough. That's why we're still trying to push ebooks. Ebooks are great, but for the right audience. Ebooks aren't going to work for a high ticket client that just wants the job done and done right with no hassle. That's why I never peddled the ebooks. I never peddled ebooks. That's not what my client wants. My client wants done for you, done right, no hassle. So I got to showcase my process. I got to showcase the pain points of not having a solid brand and what that could potentially risk you long term. If you don't get this brand aligned, if you don't get your systems set up, if you don't have the right funnels going to the right people, it could be costing you thousands, if not millions, depending on where you're at. How long are you going to go? How long are you going to go? How many more ClickFunnels monkeys are you going to hire until you hire the right person? Just a rhetorical question. Last but not least, guys, what's the end goal? What's the end goal? Have you thought about that yet? Have you seen it through? I was talking to somebody the other day and they said, our goal, our 10-year goal is an exit strategy. We want to sell this. We want to build it up and build it strong and exit it. And then that's where we can go into consulting and we can go into other things that we love. You know, we'll be older in our lives. We'll have a lot more experience, but that's our goal. Okay, well, that's a phenomenal vision. So now we work backwards from that. How do we brand it? How do we position ourselves? How do we set that up so that we can properly exit in 10 years? Always having the end goal in mind. You know, I'm guilty of this too, and I admit sometimes I will answer a question too prematurely, and what that does is it doesn't get the full scope. So, and it doesn't serve the other person. So what you got to do is you got to back up and dig deep. So, you know, I'm very conscious of this now when I'm on Clubhouse and people are asking questions. Like, I'm not just going to fire off an answer. I'm going to say, well, what's your end goal? That's going to help me get a better understanding of, all right, this is where they are. This is where they want to go. What's holding them back? What's the in-between stuff that needs to get filled or dealt with? I hope this is making some sense. Thomas Lee gave me the fist bump. I appreciate you, Thomas. So any questions, comments from the audience? I'm happy to field a few before we start to wrap up. But I'm gonna start to wrap this up now. But some of the things that I want you to start to think about and start to pay attention to is being intentional, extremely intentional with your approach. So I'll give it to you straight. I'm getting a lot of DMs on Instagram asking for, you know, branding help. And I am very clear with them. I'm saying I ask them, you know, where's your challenge? And they'll say positioning. They'll say, don't know how to package my offer. They'll say, I don't have a strong hook, or I don't know who my audience is. That's why I'm struggling, whatever, right? And I tell them straight up, I tell them, I'm confident that I can help you. This is what I do for a living, and I've been doing it for 14 years. I said, unfortunately, I don't do free consults, but I would invite you to book an assessment with me one-on-one, and we'll sit down and we'll find the challenges. We'll find the pain points. We'll find some solutions there that will guide you in the right direction. Maybe my program will be a good fit. Maybe it won't, but at least you have a direction and you have more clarity and focus on what it is that you're doing. And I just tell them straight up, it's not free. And then someone will say, yeah, a handful of them booked those assessments already. A handful of them said, nah, I'm okay. Let's go. Okay too. But I'm very intentional with what I do. Very intentional. So I'll give you another exercise that I did with I promised you, I said, I did it an exercise with my Instagram community yesterday that helped a lot of people. When I woke up this morning, I had a lot of DMs thanking me for the exercise because they realized what it did for them after the fact. So I asked my audience to pitch me their Instagram account without me having to go to their Instagram account. And so I had hundreds of comments. You'll see there's hundreds of comments there of people trying to pitch their Instagram account. And what I saw was 80, 90% of the responses were so vague and they had no idea who they wanted following them. And I said, well, if you don't know who you want following you, then how the hell is anybody going to follow you? How are you able to build that followership up? And so I explained it. Some of them, they were like 80% there. We do this, this, and that. And they had their benefit, right? And they had their, they had their benefit. They had their, but they didn't have who it was for. They didn't have who it was for. So that's why I just went in there and I told them, okay, this is great. This should be your Instagram bio. This is how good it is. But just tie it up in a nice little bow at the end and tell us who it's for. So if you go to my Instagram bio, it's very easy to get an understanding of who I am and what I do. So when you go to it, it says, I help six-figure entrepreneurs scale to seven figures and beyond with a done-for-you branding system. DM me for a free gift and let's grow together. Takes the guesswork out of it all. So who's going to probably follow me? Six-figure entrepreneurs that want to scale to seven figures and beyond and do it consistently with a done-for-you program. That's it. So I'm going to wrap up. If you guys are interested in that brand assessment, you could go to my website. It's Unique Designz, with a Z at the end, uniquedesignz.net. You'll see it right here on the screen. What am I doing? And just click book a brand assessment and get on my calendar, and we will go one-on-one. Take about 45 minutes to an hour. I'll go a little extra if I have to. I don't care. And we'll get you that clarity, because these blind spots are what's holding you back from exponential growth. And man, I wish I had this access when I was coming up, or when I was transitioning from freelance to agency owner, and transitioning from, doing, logos and websites on one-off jobs to doing full brand identities and funnel designs and architecture. And I wish I had this kind of mentorship. I wish I had this kind of direction. But listen, thank God I found it when I did, because now, I wouldn't be here without them. So big shout out to all my mentors out there that have helped me get to where I'm at today. I really appreciate you. So I'm out. I'll see you tomorrow, guys. I got a packed day. Let me know if this was helpful. Drop it in the comments. If you have any further questions, drop them in the comments, and I will get back to them as soon as possible. Take care, guys.